The pick is in.
The Arizona Cardinals have made a selection in the 2024 NFL Draft. Alongside Locked On College Football host Spencer McLaughlin, I'm Tanisha Batiste, and we are joined by Alex Clancy of Locked On Arizona Cardinals to break down the Arizona Cardinals selecting Marvin Harrison Jr. with the number 4 pick. Now, Alex, many thought the top 3 wide receivers in the draft were Harrison, Malik Neighbors, and Rome Odunze. Why do you think the Cardinals ultimately decided to go with Harrison at 4?
Because he does everything. I mean, it's interesting where it's like it's now a slight because he's not overly excellent at everything. And the crazy part is he does everything so effortlessly that it makes it look less fantastical than it is. He led the FBS in touchdowns the last 2 years combined. All he does is produce. He had me at quarterback last year and still put up double-digit, touchdowns and had almost 1,200 yards receiving. The dude's a stud, and the Cardinals need a stud, and they got their stud.
Indeed. Now, Harrison will obviously be the go-to receiver for the Cardinals, but in addition to what you just said, what makes him good enough at the NFL level to be wide receiver 1?
Kyler Murray makes wide receivers look better. And there's a couple different reasons. There's a couple things that Monty Osborne's done since the beginning of last season when he took over as GM of the Cardinals. He's added veterans at the right spots, especially this offseason. He's bolstered the offensive line. He's made the defense a little bit better. Trey McBride has really emerged as a bona fide tight end 1 in this league. Plus, their run game was the best in the league, especially down the stretch last year. So with that, it allows Marvin Harrison to maybe get less bracketed coverage, maybe more one-on-one. And with Kyler Murray's ability to use his legs, it always keeps the defense honest. So the infusion of all of those things could make for an explosive rookie year and career for Marvin Harrison Jr. wearing Cardinals jerseys on Sundays.
Indeed. Now, the Cardinals drafted Paris Johnson Jr. out of Ohio State last year. Could that be a little bit of an advantage, maybe to have that offensive tackle and that wide receiver coming from that same program, having played together before?
That's such a good question because, yes, on the face of it, yes. Paris Johnson was on the local podcast that said, Marvin Harrison Jr. wanted to be here. The Arizona Cardinals, I've said this a lot on the show, they lack Arizona Cardinals on this roster over Steve Keim's tenure. All they're doing is pulling veterans from different teams to makeshift the roster to be competitive. The ability to have a culture with homegrown guys who know each other, to build a family, build a team, it sounds so dumb and so elementary, but this is where the Cardinals were starting when they fired the last regime and moved forward with Monty Osborne and Jonathan Gannon. So I think while it looks like a fun story, it means a lot more than just what it looks like at service level. So yes.
For more on the Arizona Cardinals, subscribe to Locked On Arizona Cardinals on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Now, Spencer, going back to the fact that there were three to be exact, top receivers available at 4. What does Marvin Harrison Jr. bring to the table, in your opinion, that made the Cardinals take him as that first receiver off the board?
Well, he looks like a number 1 receiver. He plays like a number 1 receiver. And if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. And this guy is really, really good. You just look at the body type that he has. He can play physically. He's got the speed to go over the top, to create separation. Just a superb route runner. And you heard Alex talking about it. He's not necessarily the fastest in the draft, because that'd probably be a Malik Neighbors conversation there who's gone to the Giants. But I think that for Marvin Harrison Jr., he presents the sort of go-to number 1 reliable target that you are looking for if you're Kyler Murray, right? The guy who DeAndre Hopkins was. I think that's a really, really good comp for Marvin Harrison Jr.'s DeAndre Hopkins. Big body, throw it up, and just trust that he's going to make contested catches. He'll have some yards after the catch, to be sure, but this is a guy who, in the red zone especially, is lethal because of his timing and his hands to go with that body frame.
Yeah, it definitely shows that the pedigree does not hurt. For continuing
No, it does not.
Exactly. NFL Draft. For continuing coverage of it, subscribe to Locked On NFL on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.